Hi everyone, welcome to Topic 2C Part 1. In this series of lectures we're looking at followership. This session we're looking at followership styles, but first a little bit of a reminder of our leadership definition. Remember that leadership is an influence relationship amongst leaders and followers who intend real changes and outcomes that reflect their shared purposes. Remember that there's that implied factor of personal responsibility and integrity in that. Sorry, I just flipped over the page a bit too fast. Right, so what we're going to talk about as well is the role of followers in that process. With followership, there is a shift of focus from the leader to the follower, and that is still an influence relationship. You've got to remember that, and that followers share many qualities with leaders, as you'll see as we go through this. Two main things about followership styles. You need to think about critical and uncritical thinking. Critical thinking is that ability to think independently and to be constantly mindful of the effects of your own behaviour on your own performance and on other people's behaviour, and how those two things will impact on whether you achieve the organisation's vision or not. The other is uncritical thinking, and we don't want to be one of these uncritical thinkers. That's the idea of failing to consider possibilities beyond what you're told, that basically you just don't bother to engage your brain and you accept people's ideas without thinking about them. Don't be that kind of person. You aren't going to get anywhere in the world of work. You actually do need to engage your brain. So we're going to have a bit of a look at Kelly's 5 followership styles. Now, Kelly had described these 5 styles of followership categorized into 2 dimensions. The first one is this idea of active behavior versus passive behaviour. An active individual participates fully in the organisation. A passive individual is characterised by the need for constant supervision and prodding. Then the other dimension is this independent critical thinking. So independent thinking recalls mindfulness. They are aware of the effects on their behaviour on others, and the dependent uncritical thinkers are, as we discussed before, just people who can't be bothered really. So what we're going to talk about is the 5 followership styles. First of all, there's a passive follower. Now, a passive follower exhibits neither critical, independent thinking nor active participation. These are just people, they're blobs. They might as well have not bothered to come, really. They're often the result of leaders, though, who are controlling and punish mistakes. So you can actually create passive followers. The conformist is someone who's active but doesn't actually think critically. So you need to develop those critical thinking skills. They're willing participant, but in general they tend to be a bit of a smoother when it comes to dealing with conflict. They're not very good at dealing with conflict. Alienated follower, this is the person in the organisation who's incredibly good at thinking but who's actually quite passive about doing anything about it. They might have experienced setbacks or obstacles, maybe lots of broken promises, and they tend to be quite negative and focus on the shortcomings of the organisation rather than getting on and doing it. The effective follower, of course, is probably who most of us want to be. Critical independent thinker, really active. They behave the same way towards everyone, regardless of position. They don't try to minimise or avoid risk and conflict. They initiate change, but put themselves at risk to serve the organisation, and they're characterised by mindfulness and a willingness to act. And then in the middle, we've got the pragmatic survivor. They have the qualities of all 4 extremes depending on which style fits the prevalent situation. So they're a bit of a canary in the mine shaft. When things are starting to go pear-shaped, you will notice your pragmatic survivors will be the ones who will flip-flop faster than anybody else. They do whatever they need to do to get through. So what I need you to do now is to do the follower quiz, work through the self-evaluation exercise, compare with your peers, and use that information whenever you're setting group norms.